What's good, guys? Welcome back to another Blue Guardian interview. In today's interview, we're joined here with Daniel, who's managed to make $8,000 in payouts with Blue Guardian in just a very short time of 2 months. Let's ask him some really important questions and ask him how he's managed to achieve such good results for trading. So let's get into it. Welcome to the interview. And let's start with just a little bit about how you go into trading. Let's start from there, like your background.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, first, thank you for having me. This is quite interesting, quite fun, quite exciting to do. In terms of getting into trading, I think I got into it initially in about 2019, 2020, when the pandemic started. There was two things I said I wanted to do. I said I wanted to like learn how to trade and learn to play the piano. Just two random things. I got sent home from work, had loads of
Did you,
time, so
did
I
you
was
learn
like,
the piano as well then?
I'm kind of there, not as far as trading, but a little bit. My uncle, I think he first got me into one of those, I want to say they're called like MLM type groups. That's kind of how it started.
Mm.
But I was a bit fascinated with the idea, rather than the getting people involved. So like me trying to sell to other people, I was kind of fascinated with the idea that I could sit on my laptop and make money, like big sums of money, potentially money that can like replace your job, give you the financial freedom, that sort of thing. So that's where the journey started, and obviously it's just kind of continued, obviously, from there, really.
Now, when did you start seeing profitability in the markets? How long did that take you since you started?
When it took a decent amount of time. So obviously my first trades initially were 2019, 2020. I think I was following signals then, so obviously it was a little bit of success, and then it just kind of went. But when I first started trading properly, I think I followed signals for about a year or two. But then I first started trading properly like 2022-ish, 2023, and I've just become profitable like 2024, back end of 2024.
Mm.
So yeah,
So
it's
you
not that
literally,
long.
you literally traded signals for like 2 years and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, well, it didn't work. I've always kind of been good on risk management, I guess. So if I saw the signals were up, I would trade the signals in a weird way. Obviously, I had a job, so I couldn't trade every single signal. So I guess I was quite fortunate that some of the ones I was trading were working. But then the problem was, on the days that I would lose, I'd like blow my whole account. So I would win a
Mm.
lot. It was a high win rate, but I think now looking back, probably like to get 20 pips, you were risking like 150, which didn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
I only know that now, at the time it was like, oh, this is 90% win rate. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's how signal providers get such high win rate, right? Because they can easily hit
Yeah,
like these small moves, but then one win wipes out like the last 10 trades.
exactly. Which is, I mean, they don't tell you this when you start, but you know, I think you have
Yeah,
to go
it's
and
just a
learn it
one,
yourself,
it's
really.
just a way for them to make money pretty much of people that don't know better,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you invest in any courses, any mentors? Like, where did you learn like how to trade, how to make a strategy, how to get the edge in the markets? Where did you get that knowledge from?
So yeah, I got a couple of, those free courses where it's like, oh, if you sign up to this, we'll give you a free course. So I got a couple free courses. I did a lot of online work. I think babypips.com. I was on like when I first
Mm.
started. I think that's like a free outlet, that sort of thing. And then I did buy one course with this guy that I'm kind of still in contact with now. His name's Calvin, like the Forex Beginner podcast, or Calvin the New Trader.
Oh yeah, I know
Um,
him.
yeah, he's quite well. I think a couple of people. That's kind of where I came from, if that makes sense. So his course, I still have it till now. But what I've done since I started is I've kind of tweaked things and I've built my own strategy myself now. But I've just taken bits from every kind of course, everything I've seen online, and kind of fused them together to do something that works for me.
And did you start with trading a personal account, or like did you straight go into funded account? Did you know that pro firms are a thing?
I started with a personal first. I still kind of have a personal now. I trade it every now and then, but I mean, in terms of making larger sums, prop firms are a little bit better. And I think
Yeah.
your psychology on a prop firm is slightly different. I mean, maybe it's just me, but sometimes when you trade a personal, and this is nothing against personals, I do trade both. It's a bit different seeing those numbers on the screen, you know. So,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I
Like
started with
you,
a personal.
yeah, like you just pay like $500 for a 100K account. Worst case, you lose 500. But now to make those
Exactly.
similar returns, you'd be risking like 10% on a 10K account, right? Something like that, and that's just like so much um, harder on the psychology to deal with losing
Absolutely.
10% on a 10K account.
Yeah.
And did you lose a lot of money at the start? Like a lot of traders, the start of journey, they go into like some crazy losses, lose a lot of money, then they have to come back. Did you have any stories like that, or just had some perfect road for you?
No, definitely not a perfect road. I mean, I think at the beginning, I definitely lost some money. Obviously, I was mentioning I was kind of following signals and I blew some accounts. So I'll go into this. Like I kind of, when I first followed the signals, I was like, oh, this is so great. I told my mum about it. I told my dad about it. I told my sisters. I told my boys. I told everyone. But like my mum, dad, and my sisters, they were like, oh yeah. I kind of convinced them to kind of like, oh yeah, give me some money. We'll figure it out. I'll be giving you guys some money every week or every month or that sort of thing. So it started well, kind of gave them some payouts, that sort of thing. It was cool. It was cool. And then I don't know if it was one day or over a space of like a week, all of it, I lost it all. I think it was probably like between 6 and 10,000, and I just lost it all from the
Damn, that is
signals.
a very
Yeah,
big loss.
it was kind of crazy. Like it was crazy. I guess I was fortunate that obviously I was working and I was doing some other things, so it was all right. I kind of managed to give everybody what they put back in. So I was like, okay, cool. If I bear the brunt of this loss, it's fine because I believe in this going forward. I didn't know the timeline that the success was going to come, but obviously, I mean, I'm a Christian. I pray a lot. I kind of spend time with God and some other things. So I knew I was in the right place. Like I knew trading was for me, and I'm hoping now, praying now, it's just onwards and upwards. But yeah, definitely, I think the losses in the beginning, they either make you or break you. So some people just quit, but
Yeah.
it's
What made
something.
you like keep going though? Like, how did you know trading was real and it's gonna work eventually? Like, you just lost 6,000. How do you know that trading is gonna work? Like, what made you keep going with it, right? Most people at that
Um,
point will quit. They're like, okay, this is just not work. It doesn't work, right? Like many things online, people show you only the good side, so it's very
yeah.
easy to believe that it's not gonna work.
Um, I mean, like I said, I mean, God, that's probably my first pillar, and He definitely helped me to kind of just to give me some peace that I was in the right place and doing the right thing. I mean, this is funny to say, and who knows where this will go, but even when I lost the money, like I was sad because I lost the money, but I didn't think that I wasn't panicked. There was a bit of peace to me, which that sounds crazy, right? But
Yeah.
something told me, like even when I tried to kind of think about quitting or tried to think about it, something just came. So I just knew that this is where I should be, kind of thing. And
So
I'm
you
happy
didn't
that I
feel
stayed.
demotivated or anything like that. You were just like, okay, I want to firm this loss. I know this is gonna work. I want to keep going at it. That's how you just approached it.
I felt it a little bit. I'll be lying if I said I didn't feel it, but um, I I managed to get over it with friends, family, that sort of thing, obviously, and just I knew within me that this is what I wanted to do. The freedom, kind of, I'd seen the benefits, and I knew that just keep plugging away. The freedom that this skill can give you, that kind of once you've learned it, no one can take it away from you. And that's kind
Yeah.
of what motivated me to kind of ditch the signals and deep dive into the learning. So that's kind of why I knew that I'm never
I
quitting.
agree. So, how about you, like your family and everyone? Did they still believe in you after that? Like, for most people, that would be most people's families would be like, just stop doing this. You're gonna keep losing money, right? Like, how did you deal with that side of things? Especially if
Um,
were you living with your family at that time?
yeah, no, I was.
So it must be like a constant pressure from them, like every day that they know that you lost that much of their money and now you wanna keep going. Like, what was their kind of?
So fortunately, they're quite understanding, which is a good thing, right? I guess I went a little bit dark on it in terms of for a while, maybe like after that loss, maybe for the first like 3 months, I didn't tell anyone I was still trading. I was, and I think people probably knew, but I wasn't explicitly talking about it. So Um, my family's quite understanding, and like my dad in particular, sometimes he'll come in my room and he'll be like, "Oh, you're still doing that thing. You're still doing that thing." And I was like, "Yeah, this is kind of where I'm gonna be, what I'm doing." And I was fortunate to meet some friends who had done it and found some success. So it was a lot easier to kind of map out the direction, and I could point to maybe the non-believers, the people who didn't believe in the
Mm,
trading thing, that this is kind of what this person's done, this is what this person's done. And although this is a small sample size, this is what I've done, and I know that it can be more. And if you don't agree, that's fine. Like obviously, my family are still going to love me whatever happens. My friends are still going to be my friends whatever happens. But this is the, you know how people say the phrase, the hill that you're going to die on. Like this is the hill. Like this is it. That's kind of how I see
you
it.
found your hill.
Yeah, this is my hill, man.
Let's talk a little bit more about your strategy then that's actually managed to make you money pretty much, right? Because that's what comes down to then the strategy. Of course, there's psychology and many other things that come into the strategy, but most people struggle to even build the base layer, which is the edge in the markets itself. Like, how
Yeah,
can you take, I don't know, 1,000 trades and still be profitable at the end of those trades, right? That's still a
yeah,
fairly challenging thing to do.
yeah.
So, what is your strategy based around? Like, how do you trade?
So the first pillar, I would say the first thing about my strategy is the risk management element. So when I was trading with signals, or even when I was doing a bit of trading in the beginning, my risk management, I was risking what, let's talk in terms of percentages, right? I was risking 1% to make 0.3%, which didn't make any sense. Whereas what I've kind of got to now is I'm risking 1% to make 3%, to make 4%, to make 2%, anything from 2 to 5. That's kind of the aim. But I think what helped me was I decided that, okay, I'm going to trade. I learned a little bit about Elliott wave theory. That's kind of where it all started. And I said, I'm going to trade Elliott wave theory for now, and I'll just expand and build on it as the time goes on. So I have a Google document, which I think at first was like 27 pages. Everything I learned about trading, I just called it my strategy. Everything I learned about trading, I just threw in that document, and I would go over it week by week and take this out when it didn't work, or take that out, or take that out. So I got it down to like 3 or 4 pages, and it's still based on Elliott wave theory, but there's a lot of other things which are more important than within the strategy. Like you said, risk management is in there. Journaling is in there. I didn't actually become profitable until I started journaling, writing my trades, and actually looking back and seeing this is what I did that worked, this is what I did that didn't work. So, but in terms of the strategy, it's quite simple. I mean, I just look at um, demand and supply zones, which is support and resistance, and I don't want to say I just feel the charts, but I like to look and say, okay, I think based off this price action that this is going to go up or this is going to go down, right? Because it's only two ways: it goes up or it goes down, or maybe this sideways
Yeah.
movement. But I like to say, okay, I'll go from the monthly to the weekly to the daily. I'll do a top-down analysis, draw various zones, and I'll execute my trades on the 1 hour, sometimes the 4 hour, occasionally the 15 minute. And I'm just trading what I've been shown from the monthly, the weekly, the daily. If the 15 minute or the 1 hour doesn't go with what I can see on the higher time frames, I'll wait till it does. That's the the basis of my strategy. I can go into more detail if you want. Just let me know.
That's up to you, bro, if you want to talk about it. I'm pretty sure people are very interested, right? Like, I remember when I started trading, I used to watch all these interviews of like prop firms and everything. And
Yeah.
the most watched piece of the interview for me was usually when the people are talking about the strategy, right? Because that's what I was missing the most. I was strategy hopping. I had no idea how to trade. So I really want to know people that made payouts. What are they actually doing on the charts? So if you can if you have stuff that you want to talk about more, go ahead, bro. It would be really helpful for
Okay.
the viewers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the first thing, based off what you said, is don't strategy hop. Not for you, but for the viewers in it. Definitely don't do that. Fix on one strategy because every strategy works. Really, what it is your risk management within the strategy. But yeah, I mean, let me imagine a blank chart. I'm going to do my top-down analysis. I'm going to go to the monthly. I'm going to look at my support and resistance. I'm then going to come down to the weekly support and resistance. I'm going to come down to the daily support and resistance as well. The H4, the H1, same thing. And then I kind of sit around the H1 for entries, maybe the H4. I might come down to the M15, maybe if I'm looking for a move, but realistically, I don't really go further than that. So I've drawn my support and resistance zones now. Now I'm going to decide a bias for the day. So I'll go back to the daily. Let's say I'm trading the pound against the yen. I'm going to go to the daily for GJ and I'm going to look at I'm going to draw two zones. This is where I think price could go on the upside. And I think this is where the floor is in terms of price likely isn't going to go past here. Obviously, trading does involve risk. And obviously, there is an element of you believe something that's going to happen that might not happen. So once I've drawn those zones on the daily, I'm coming to the 4 hour. I might be looking for some Elliott waves, the kind of 1, 2, 3, which is the longest one, a pullback on a 4 and a 5. I'm looking for that sort of move, or that's a motive phase, or I might be looking for a corrective, which is just a drop, a pull up, then another drop, or those could both also go the other way. So I might be looking for those on the H4. I tend to find that the H4 is my best time frame for clarity. One, I work, so I can't trade on the M1 or the M3. That's not really my style. So I tend to find the H4 is kind of my favorite time frame. So I'll look for the corrective or the motive waves kind of, and I'll look for that kind of helps me determine where I am in the market. And once I determine where I am, depending on if I'm looking for a longer trade or if I'm just looking for a quick 1 to 2 risk to reward, I might then go down to the 1 hour. Let's say I'm in the three phase, which is the longest phase in the motive phase. I know that if the 3 starts at this point, for example, maybe it's coming to here, I'm going to keep my trade in between these 2 points. If I'm going to buy, for example, I might come down to the H1 and I'm looking to buy in between that point. I won't go above because price might go above, but that's not my move. Like you don't have to catch
Yeah, that
every
makes
single
sense.
move. Yeah,
Your
that's the whole
strategy is
thing.
like very discretionary, right? It's like it gets better the more experience you get on the charts, right?
Yes,
Like a lot
yes.
of people trade mechanically, like me myself included. I trade mechanically. Like my
Okay.
strategy is like if you tell a toddler, he can pretty much follow a step by step on the charts, right?
Yeah,
But your one, it's like no, you need to find areas. You
you
need
need
to
experience.
watch the price move, how it reacts, right? So it's very discretionary. And another thing is, you trade very high time frames. So does your strategy become sort of like a swing trading style? Like, would you say?
Potentially it can. I mean, I like to kind of close out on a daily just because I might trade on a Monday and not trade on a Tuesday. Or with certain pairs, I might leave a move a little bit more into swing trading because I just tend to find the higher time frames, they work the best with what I do in my life, you know. But I know a lot of traders. I have a friend, for example, he kills it on the 1 minute. Like sometimes when I sit with him, I'll look at the way he's trading and 1 minute he's making sums which are crazy, and I'm happy for him, but that's not really my style. But yeah, I mean, like you said about the mechanical thing, I do think there's definitely some benefit in more mechanical trading if that's what works for you. I think you just have to kind of find what works for you. Yeah.
So because your trading style, it's like takes a long time basically for you to get a trade, right? And you have to be in a trade for a very long time in compared to people that are like scalping on the 5 minute, 1 minute. So how do you deal with like the patient side of trading? Like imagine you just waited hours, maybe even a day for a good entry. Now that goes to stop loss. Like it's very easy now to go into over trading or
Yeah.
some sort of mental breakdown that's going to cause you to just lose it on the charts, right? Because that's a lot of weight. That's another reason I can't do that, like high time frames. Like I'm not that patient. Like if I take a loss in the 5 minute, I know I can look for another setup in the next
Yeah.
hour. But you
Yeah.
now might have to wait like 10 hours or like 24 hours before you get another setup.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that patient either. I think it's something that, we're always working on. I'm really trying to be more patient because, I mean, like you said, there's a situation where you could maybe take a loss on the 5 minute and get back in within the next hour, but I can't just because maybe I might have other stuff going on, or just I know that sometimes when you get into a trade, it might play out, you might be impatient, you might hit stop loss. Maybe mentally where you are after that hitting the stop loss, maybe you need to take some time. Maybe you need to just shut the charts for the next hour or focus on something else because I don't know. I feel like trading to an extent is kind of like a big head game. So you kind of it's you versus you, like people need to say, like people say, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So do you currently have a job still, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm still working at the moment, working in trading. I like my job. That's probably the reason why I've kept it. Um,
What do you work
if
as, if you don't mind?
I work in the wealth management space, so I just kind of help clients invest their money, kind of manage their money, kind of thing. That's mainly what I do.
Oh, that sounds really good.
So
That's like
it's
very
similar.
related to trading.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite similar. So it's I can do both because they don't require like vastly different skills, basically.
How old are you, by the way? I completely forgot to ask you.
I'm 28. I just turned 28 like last week. So yeah, I'm
I
28. Still a
see, I
young
see.
man, I think, but yeah, 28.
Ah, that's a really good achievements by 28, you know. You're a profitable trader. You have a very good job. And hopefully, God willingly, it's going to all go even better in the coming years, right?
Yeah, God willing, that's the prayer, man. Yeah, definitely.
So you're planning to just keep your job for like as forever, pretty much, you're saying? Or would you
Um,
ever like, or is there like a money mark, like a target? Once you hit that in trading consistently, you're like, I don't need the job anymore. Because you know, a lot of people's goal with like trading or any business, it's not really the money always, it's the freedom. Because when you have a job, you still
Absolutely.
have like a lot to do, right? Of your time's being taken up.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I hope, my workplace doesn't see this, but yeah, no, it's a consideration. I mean, it's something that I think you hit the nail on the head with the freedom thing. I think everyone wants to be able to kind of do what they want to do on their own terms and within their own time frames. But I mean, I'm quite fortunate that I enjoy my job. I really love the people I work with. I love my company. So for now, definitely I'm going to keep it. Um, I think if something did change later on down the line and I wanted to be a bit more free or have a bit more freedom, yeah, it's something I consider. But for now, I like the both trading and working, so I'm going to keep them both.
So currently, how much are you funded in funded capital?
So at the moment, across just with Blue Guardian or across like
All
different
firms.
funds? Oh, okay. So at the moment, it's not actually that much. I mean, I think I have a 50K account somewhere and I have a 100K account somewhere. So it's not, I mean, you hear stories of people being like 700,000, 800,000, a million. That's the goal. Like that's where I'm trying to get to. So that's the journey we're on. But for now, it's just, a humble 150, but it helps. So I
That's
can't
still a
complain.
lot, you know. Like you make a couple of percent on that. That's already replacing most incomes like
Yeah.
monthly. So that's still really good. And what's your approach to challenges? Like, how do you go with like the percentage is quite a lot you need to make. So how do you
Yeah.
go about doing that?
Um, I think I have a slightly different strategy for challenges. I mean, I use my strategy still, but I think you need to know when to take profits. For example, with challenges, some people will try to get the 10% in one day or the 8% in one day. But if you're a good trader and you trust yourself and you trust your strategy and you trust the way you trade, you need to know that it's better for me to get 1% than to lose 2%. Let me just take what I'm going to take. I can come back the next day. I can come back the next hour, depending on, the time frame you're trading on. But you need to look at it like you have an opportunity. You are kind of auditioning, testing yourself to prove competence. That's kind of how I see it. So I do my best to prove my competence as much as I can.
That makes sense. Okay, so a couple of more questions before we wrap it up. Okay, so
Sure.
one of the questions is, what's your best piece of advice that you would give to anyone watching this, like a beginner? What's the best piece of advice?
Um, my best piece of advice. I'm trying to think what I would have wanted to hear when I started trading. Uh, put me on the spot. I would probably say manage your risk. So understand how much you're risking on any given trade. and understand how much you're making. So a 3-to-1 risk to reward, risking one to make three is very good. Whereas a 1-to-1 is good if you're a really, really good trader, but it doesn't happen all the time. So I think risk management is the key for the way I trade, at least.
I agree. I completely agree. Like even with mechanical strategies, like just changing a risk to reward makes a crazy difference because that's what it comes down to, right? Like 1-to-1, you might hit along a lot of times, but then one loss takes away the win, right? But 1-to-2, now you need
Absolutely.
to take two losses to take away one win. But obviously, then the win rate decreases as well. It's like very balanced overall, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Win rate and risk to reward. You just
Yeah.
have to find a sweet spot that works for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Or then final question. This is a bit of an interesting question just to ask people. So if you could have dinner with three people, historically or in the present, who would you choose?
Do they have to be alive or dead, or what's the situation?
Uh, just any, and just give me a reason, like why are you choosing them?
Um, okay, this is a difficult question. I think I would definitely say um, Kobe Bryant for number one, just because like his whole kind of outlook on life, like you've heard of like the Mamba mentality, whether it's in basketball. I mean, I like basketball. I also like football, but also how you can apply those his mentality to your life, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a trader, whether you're whatever you do, you can kind of have that mentality, and that mentality kind of pushes you to success. So that's
For
number
sure.
one. Oh, this is difficult. I don't want to say just sports players, so I'm gonna try and say somebody else. Um, Number two, I think I'll go with somebody like um maybe like Jim Rohn, someone like that. Like I used to kind of be big into like motivational speeches, so I would listen to speeches and kind of like renew my mind and encourage myself, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd go Jim Rohn. He's a motivational speaker. I think he's passed away now, but I'm not 100% sure. And the last one, I'll go with somebody who is. I don't want to go with a sports player. I would have dinner with so many sports stars if I had the choice. If I had the choice, but let me say somebody else. Who will I say? Who will I say? Who will I say? Um, this is a difficult one.
No
I'm
pressure.
gonna, I'm gonna say. I don't know if we're allowed to say this these days. I would say like Kanye West. I think he's a brilliant mind. Obviously, I know there's some other stuff that went on with him, but I think he's a brilliant mind musically. He has really, really good music. So I think it'd be
Hmm.
nice to kind of
For sure,
sit with
for
someone
sure.
like that and just pick their brains.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
always get like very interesting answers for this question. Like
I
literally
can
one of the
imagine.
person, one guy, he only said family people, like a bunch of his family members, that's it. So like no one famous. He's like, that's not what he wants to talk to. He wants to talk like family members because that's who they helped him throughout his whole life.
Mm.
It was very interesting. It's always like interesting questions, right? Answers with this question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm lucky I get to sit with my family a lot, but yeah, I think those are actually good
Yeah.
answers. That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way, you know? Even I would just pick
People,
like people like famous people or something, yeah.
exactly,
But but it's good though. Your answers were good. Like those conversations would be really good. Like imagine a dinner like that, you'd be coming out a different person.
exactly. Just like you'd be coming out encouraged, you'd be coming out thinking about things, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll wrap it up now then, bro. It was really nice having a conversation here with you. And I
Yeah,
wish you the best
likewise.
with your journey going forward. Let's keep killing it.
Thank you so much, bro. Yeah, no, I think I enjoyed this conversation. I was a bit nervous, but yeah, no, I enjoyed this conversation too, and hopefully, yeah,
Me too, me
God
too.
willing, keep killing it, man.
You too, bro. You too.